Hello everybody. America has its pickups and muscle cars. Japan has its K cars and luxury minivans. In Britain, we're obsessed with the hot hatch. For the last 40 years, these have been the go-to choice for people of all lifestyles and budget if they want something that can do anything, go anywhere, and put a smile on your face. Yet somehow I never got into them when I was younger, the exact age at which a hot hatch is supposed to be the coolest thing on planet Earth. And it turns out the exact same is true of my cohort, Ant. You see, for some reason, he too never really drove hot hatches as a young man. And when today I asked him to help out with filming this Peugeot 206 GTi, I couldn't help but notice that he got out with a rather big smile on his face. So, with us having a little bit of extra time and access to this gorgeous Ardent Red 21,500 mile, one owner from new example, I figured this would be the perfect moment to send him out and see if he can find out the magic of the hot hatch for himself. Enjoy.
Now, I've never owned a hatchback, not once in my life. My first car was kind of a hand-me-down, a Toyota Corolla liftback, which you could argue is a hatchback, but I didn't really own it. It was my dad's old 1977 heap of junk, I would call it. And it served me well for a short period before it eventually died. And then I eventually, some years later, was in a position to finally buy my own car. I decided I wanted a sporty saloon, and at the time I stumbled across this lovely, beautiful red Ford Mondeo Mark 1 2-litre SI, and I absolutely loved that car. And ever since, I've really never looked back. I've never thought about owning a hatchback. It just never crossed my mind. But hot hatches like this from the early 2000s, even the late 90s, were fantastic little things. Also, I was told, I just haven't had a chance to experience them. And when I drove this, I was like, this is brilliant. Now, I'm not a fan of the seating position. This seat is way too high. And if I ever was to own one of these cars, I would certainly change the seats. Bucket seats, obviously. But when you just think about the fact that this car is completely stock and is so much fun, it makes you realise how good hot hatches of that time really were. Now, this is one of the earlier 206 GTIs. The later ones had a bit more power, 180. James tells me that was a little bit too late for the 206 because the Renault Clio came along, the 172, and it was just the best car overall. I wouldn't know, I've never driven one. So if you've got one and you'd like to see it on the channel, please do get in touch. Email is in the description. But this is the earlier model, the 140 horsepower version, and honestly, it's more than enough. Now, look, there's certain things that I personally am not a fan of with this car. One of them is its gear shift. The throw is really quite far, and it's not as notchy as I would like, but I've literally just come out of driving a BMW Z3 Coupe M that has an incredible gear shift. And we've also got to remember that this gearbox was essentially meant to be in a very basic entry-level hatch that anyone could drive, that was comfortable, easy to use, inexpensive, and it just so happens to be in a car that was a little bit more powerful than the base models and a little bit more sporty. Actually, in a way, it's almost a part of the experience that I almost wouldn't want it to lose. So yeah, somehow its imperfections are things that make me like it. And as the saying goes, it's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. And I can tell you that is definitely the case in this. The reason I'm filming this, because we didn't actually plan for me to film anything with this, the reason I'm filming it is because when I was chasing James, who was driving the BMW, I was following him in this, and I had so much fun. I was chasing him, and I was not being dropped terribly. I mean, James is a somewhat better driver than me, and that is a more powerful and faster car than this, but it wasn't dropping me at the rate that I was expecting it to. This was surprisingly nimble through the corners, and that for me is one of the things that this car has going for it. Its handling. It sits a little bit high, you sit a little bit high, it feels like you're driving a bus compared to driving something like the Z3M Coupe. But somehow, in the corners, you'd expect it to roll and for you to be thrown all over the place, but you're not. It feels relatively flat, whilst at the same time the suspension doesn't feel especially stiff. It sits relatively high on its suspension, so it's got plenty of opportunity to roll and move around, but it doesn't. It's amazing. Right now I'm sandwiched between an SUV and a van, and can't really do much. And we're about to go through a little village, so let's just talk a little bit about its manners in its basic driving. The clutch, for example, is actually very easy to operate. It actually has a biting point that's a little higher than I prefer, and this feels brilliant. It's engaging beautifully. This particular car as well, I feel quite privileged to drive because this is an unusually low mileage car. It's only got 21,500 miles on it, just over. Bizarrely, one of the things you have to be careful of with this car is actually putting your foot down a bit too hard, a bit too soon when you're coming out of a bend, because it does experience torque steer. Now, I don't think that's because the power is so great. I think that's a little bit more to do with the tyres specifically, the size and possibly the age in this particular case. But honestly, oh, what a great car. And in a little town, it's very easy to negotiate, even when there's a little bit of traffic that you get stuck behind. You know, going up and down the gears, coming to a stop, everything is just simple. Now, a friend of mine used to own one of these. She'd had it for about 20 years, and unfortunately, it came to the end of its life not that long ago. But I never realised how much she really loved this car, and now I really understand why. It is very, very good. It is a bundle of fun when you need it to be, but practical when you don't. Now, I imagine this car appealing actually more to someone who wanted to own one of these when they were younger, or when the car was out but couldn't afford it or couldn't justify it at the time and always wanted to have the experience of owning one. And if you were going to own one, this one would be ideal, because this is a ridiculously low mileage car. This is the kind of car that gives you the experience of driving these as if you bought one from new, or in this case, as if it was a press car from 2002. Such clean condition, it's just so smooth mechanically, you can just tell that this is almost box fresh. And I have to say a huge thank you to Christian of Heel & Toe Cars for letting us use this. I mean, it was mainly James that was going to be filming with this today. I had no intentions of making a video with it, but after I had so much fun in it, I felt like I wanted to share the joy of driving this car. Oh, a little bit of torque steer there. Oh, wow. And when you go round a bend that's got a kind of little bump to it, it just kind of hops in a lovely balanced way and then grips back up again. You don't feel like there's anything that could go wrong with this car. I mean, trust me, stuff could go wrong. You've got to be mindful of the corners that you're going into. But it takes them so well. It takes them like, well, not quite like a supercar, but certainly better than I would have imagined for a car like this. Kind of doesn't make sense, but at the same time it does. I guess this is, for the first time, my ability to truly appreciate what a good old hot hatch from back in the day really meant. Now, I think hot hatches of today are far different. Obviously, they are heavier, more computerized, obviously safer, but could they ever be this fun? I don't know if they can. Oh, and then it just put the weight on the front of the car, turn it in, let the back rotate around. Ah, lovely. Oh, honestly, if I had this car, I would take it out on a country road on a Sunday just for a laugh. Thank you for joining us here on JayEmm Friends. And of course, check out our podcast, The Radiator Arms, which you'll find in the playlists on this very channel. Please hit the like button, and it really helps us if you hit the subscribe button. And that's all there is for today. I'll see you next time.